About 10 seconds.
Word. We live.
Waiting for this to populate. I don't see it yet. Do you see it?
It just cut out, but it was on.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was showing, and then as soon as you said that, I see the framework, but I don't see our video feeds. Oh, it's showing now again.
It must have like a 20-second delay or something.
Yeah, there is a delay.
I think we're good, bro. We are good. How you been, man?
Doing well, doing well. It's been a busy week. Packing up the house, getting ready to move.
How close are you guys to moving?
Uh, Not 2 weeks. 2 weeks out.
2 weeks out? Oh yeah, it's crunch time. Yeah, still you still got that barrel back there. You're gonna have to lug downstairs.
All right, so the moving company wrap that stuff up, handle with care. Good luck.
Yeah, yeah. Tag it, put an insurance number or a thing on it. Well,
I'm not
this.
the one.
Sorry to cut you off.
No,
Um,
you're good. I was just saying I'm not the one to carry that barrel.
yeah, yeah. Things probably not light. It's been, man. It's just like it's been interesting. This has been. There's so many stories floating around. There's a few that I just want to talk about today, Lane. I'd like to cover maybe P. Hegseth and Trump having the meeting with the generals and admirals in Quantico. I'd like to cover, if we can get to it, the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas and the U.S. trying to broker that. Um, Trump was on the. We could start with this one. Trump was on the USS George H.W. Bush today. I believe he was. That's the carrier. Um, I didn't watch it myself. I read a couple headlines in one article, but I guess he made like an announcement on there. Did you catch that video?
I did, as soon as you mentioned it, I looked it up real quick.
Okay, so
I was
you
out and about all day.
what did you see on that video?
Well, I saw that he was acknowledging the Navy and its success and obviously its representation. I think at the football game. I didn't know he was on the carrier until you said something about it. And I saw something to the effect that the military's pay raises won't be affected by the shutdown. Or I could be paraphrasing it correctly, but I think that's what his message was.
Yeah, I think he was talking about despite the biggest talking point that I got was despite the government shutdown that he would still move forward with the pay raises for the military. Um, which is not like a big announcement. I mean, that's kind of expected, you know. The military has been getting pay raises consistently for a long time now, and not every year. I think there was one year that Obama, like 1 or 2 years, Obama didn't give the pay raise. The military didn't get a raise, but um, despite the government shutdown, the pay raise is happening. The pay raise is not even really the biggest talking point. Um, but the government shutdown obviously is a big one that we can get into. Um, the Obviously both sides are painting each other as the reason why the shutdown is happening, uh, and everyone's pointing fingers at each other. But I feel like there's other reasons when you look into the Epstein thing. There may be other reasons as to why there's also a shutdown with with what Speaker Johnson's saying. Um, what do you think, man? Because like What do you even care about a government shutdown? I feel like this is all theatrics, if you ask me. I'm just sorry. I want to. There's things that I want to say, but then I forget that we're live, and so I'm kind of just hesitating a little bit. But what do you think?
So I think, well, with my, what I'll say with my, what I do for my big boy job, it has an effect, in terms of what we'll call non-essential personnel not going to work. Just a lot of the organizations that I interface and interact with, are going to be impacted by the, being able to go to work. Um, I've been through a few government shutdowns as active duty. It didn't really impact us much.
Yeah.
I mean, it never got to that point. I'm pretty sure it could have. It has. Uh, and not to couple this, but I was looking it up while you were talking. They said the largest targeted increase, uh, A grade T1, T4 was 14.5% in 2025, and then other notables was 2024 service members received a 5.2% pay raise, which I think we credit President Biden's administration. So, and and it just goes to show you, like, you can just acknowledge who did what. But I think the largest in history was in 1982, which was a 14.3%, followed by 11.7 pay move. So anyway, it spans the gamut. I think multiple administrations have tried to take care of the military in multiple ways. But
Is it that people outside of America have white teeth naturally, but people inside of
and I'll tell you, I think it's necessary because you're trying to entice individuals to join the military with benefits, pay, and what they could, what kind of quality of life they can give themselves versus, going to college, and starting off in the American economy, depending, obviously, locality dependent. So I guess that's my take. I think, to your point, a lot of it is theatrics, in the grand scheme of things, and posturing, and this party's to blame, this party's not to blame. What I can tell you is, both sides of the deal are paying a fight. Whatever this party is doing, the other party did it less than 4 to 8 years ago. All you gotta do is go back 4 to 8 years, and the action you see, you're seeing the action for the same action. So if one party's condemning it now, they were doing it 8 years ago. One party's doing it now, they were the ones complaining about it being done 8 years ago.
Lane, I'm gonna try to fix your audio really quick. While I was listening to you, I realized that you're not getting you're not getting picked up. Um, let's see really quick here. Default.
That's a long answer to talking to the
Well, no, you were coming. So what happened to me last time happened to you this time,
okay.
and I'm trying to figure out why. So, 1 second. I think it's on the Discord side. Let me see where Discord should be default. Oop, I'm over here like meh. Yeah, hang on 1 second. I wonder if it's gonna. Let me see here. Always problems. Say something, Lane. I feel like this desktop audio. Mm-mm. Let me see. One more time.
Check, 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 check.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we got you now. All right, I think we're good. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm coming through YouTube now. I can hear myself.
Yeah, you should be coming through good. I'm just making it so you don't not coming in too
Bust
loud.
everyone's eardrums.
What's that?
Bust everyone's eardrums.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, USA. All right, I think we're good now, man. People who are watching, whoever's watching this, sorry for that, guys. Like, obviously, this is our second live stream on the channel. We clearly haven't got our stuff together, but we will. We will. Well, we don't need to linger on that. I'd like to kind of talk about the meeting that Hegseth had with the admirals and the generals. I think that's a big one because I think that it could set precedent for maybe what we could expect, or it could maybe explain some of the actions that are being taken now, especially with the military authorizations for basically domestic deployments, is what it may sound like. And then I think it was what just today that we had California National Guard getting ready to get deployed to Oregon, apparently, per Trump. So let's just talk about the meeting, because it was kind of a multi-pronged meeting. You know, it was supposed to be like maybe bring everybody in for a warm and fuzzy and kind of set the standards for discipline and fitness and this and that, and maybe some of the woke programs. But then at the same time, it seemed very political too, as in, you know, you guys better, you know, get in line or get out type of thing, right? Almost like a roll call, I'd say. Maybe like, you know, and it was televised, dude. So what are your thoughts, bro? This is usually an army or a military memo, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I had a slight smirk that the very people that love to waste people's time got their time wasted, and then all of America lost it. Meaning, all of these 4 stars and 3 stars are the very people who have their entire regional command fly to come do some LPD or brief on HR metrics and readiness. So as much as I heard a bunch of civilians getting all up in arms, like, this is a waste of taxpayer, he's wasting their time, Pete Hegseth's a joke. It's like, okay, but those people sitting in that audience do these very things. So there was a part of me, obviously 21 years of reflection, I look back at it, and obviously I understand the tit for tat. I will tell you, it's kind of comical. I will tell you that people who are trying to equate Hegseth's service with his current position, it gets lost on me because, so like, where does that stop? Do we go to Austin's? He was a 4-star CENTCOM. Do we go to Leon Panetta, the previous CIA director? Like, there was never a requirement, and I could keep going, by the way. Who is the gray-haired cat, prior enlisted dude? You know, Secretary of Defense is Secretary of Defense. If you don't like it, he's a political appointee that is there to drive the administration.
You mean Secretary of War? Get it right.
Oh, yeah, Secretary of War, SOW. But the point being is that's his position. I've seen a poster on your story you put is like, barely do 3 push-ups. I can tell you that's a narrative. The actual full video shows him doing 50 pull-ups, and the video is him trying to do the last 3 to 4 over a span of 2 hours.
Actually, I got corrected. I got corrected on that. Someone told me that he was actually doing the Murph, and I was like, well, if he's doing the Murph, then now that actually makes sense. So,
well, yeah, that's just how it goes, right? Like, let's only show his last set where he's at muscle failure, struggling. And look, Pete Hegseth was never a Delta dude, so I wasn't surprised. Like,
no, but
most American soldiers can't do legitimate pull-ups, like 15. Most soldiers, if you said do 15 pull-ups right now, 85% of them can't do that.
15? No, they probably couldn't do 10. The video I saw was him standing around, and then he jumps up there. So I assume he's fresh, but then he jumps up there. No,
he didn't go
I swear to God, dude. I'm just gonna tell you what I saw, okay? Because I don't know where the full video is, but I think I've seen this video a couple times. So maybe I'm a victim to the propagandized version of it. But I saw him standing there. And then he's like, something, and then he jumps up there, and I'm like, oh, dude, he's about to, you know, knock out maybe at least 10, 15, 20. But no, he does 3, and then he's like kipping, and I'm like, no. I was like, bro, you can't kip on your first 2 pull-ups. What?
Kennedy showed
Turn
up
the cameras off.
Kennedy was doing PD and PT and jeans.
Yeah. PT and G's. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, you tell me someone's never been in the military without telling you. But again, I laugh at all this stuff. I find it all to be funny. I see people up in arms about what he's saying. I'll tell you, hot take here, and that's been my statement lately. And my wife makes fun. She's like, "Lane, why are you proclaiming a hot take before you say something stupid?" And I'm
On a
like, "Well, I
live
was trying to
podcast.
excuse my
Everything's a hot
yeah,
take on a live
I'm,
podcast.
try- I'm trying to excuse myself of what I'm about to say, but like." Guys, most of what he said wasn't untrue. If you took his face off of it and you put it another face on there, and I'll tell you, a lot of the things that people are reacting to, you know, if you're a leader in the military over the last 10 to 15, 20 years, and you disagree with the majority of what he said, you are the very problem of what this army has been facing. Now, do I think we needed to go? I'll tell you, and I'm not a purist, so I'll tell you, EO, equal opportunity. I think you got to be careful with that stuff, man. That those programs don't just target commanders; those programs protect soldiers. The program got instituted because there were cases where soldiers or junior enlisted, junior officers were being, discriminated against. So I'm not saying that that's the case all the time, but those talking points, I think he needs to stop saying that we're going to get rid of EO, uh, targeting commanders for toxicity. No, the word toxicity was added over the last 5 to 10 years. However, prior to that, EO was EO. You know what I mean? So there were a lot of things that he brought up. I'll tell you, fat soldiers. He's right. Whether we may not like Pete Hegseth, the army's fat. The
Yep.
army's fat. Males have lack of bone density. They're skinny, scrawny, can't pick up their body weight. The army used to have one of two types. You had your cardio monsters who could go run and get good at running, and then you had your people who weren't good at running, but they could move weight. And as long as you could do one of those two, there was value for you to, provide your team. When you get into the top tier levels, if you're talking special forces, Ranger Regiment, and tier one units, clearly you have to be good at all of it. But I think oftentimes, not to attack you, Kawa, but like you see the military through a prism or a lens of like your experience dating back to the Marines. I would argue the shittiest unit you've been in, Third ID, still had some pretty decent people by the Army average, right?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
to you, you're like it was a trash can. But
No,
I
no, no.
promise you, there's
Yeah.
units out there that was like horrible. It's just your frame of reference is your Marine Division, Third ID, Special Forces. So like that's a very not a lot of tolerance there. You and I could go to an defense artillery unit, and you and I would be like, "What is going on here?" So again, close all this bullshit up that I'm saying is Pete Hegseth. You don't gotta like him. You may not like where he comes from or if he's qualified to do the job. What he said, not all of it was accurate. Most of it are issues we're having in the military. Just plain fact. I also think one last thing that he brought up is if you make a mistake in the military and it goes on your record, we shouldn't be holding that over your head your entire career. I have watched way too many people in the military get in trouble or get reprimanded for something. The Army will keep them in, allow them to continue to serve. And then when they get to a certain pay grade, go, well, no, because you made that mistake back when you were in E5. So you're not eligible for E9 now, and literally be 13 years later. So that person could serve those other positions, but now that they're about to go to the academy, they'll be like, well, you have that offense back in this. So now you either have to retire or we have to chapter you out. I've seen this happen. So I do think, hey, once you decide to retain the guy, get rid of his record. It's pointless. Like, why keep it on there? Retain him, continue to use him, continue to promote, continue to lead, mentor, and shape. So that's my take on his thing. The general's being called to DC. Whoop-de-doo is the new term, is what I see on social media. Whoop-de-doo. Who cares? Those 3 and 4 stars have the travel budget of you and I's salary, plus 10 in a year.
They may have the travel budget lane, but I don't think they have the travel time. Right?
Oh, whatever, Kawa.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Okay, you're telling me that this entire meeting couldn't have happened with the memo?
For sure. No.
Okay,
I'm
so
not saying it had to
okay,
happen
but
that way.
let's read between the lines a little bit then, right? You want to say, oh, PT? I agree with you first of all on the PT stuff. Army's fat, military's fat. Get the standards back up and stop cutting the bullshit, or start cutting the bullshit. But I agree with you. But then on the PT fact, okay, or the PT topic, then he looks these generals in the face, okay, dudes that if he was still in the military, he would be like a peon to these guys. But because he's sec ward now, because he's in a position, this is he demonstrates a lack of leadership. He demonstrates a lack of what a leader, or how a leader should articulate to his troops. Those 4 stars and admirals are his troops now, and to say, if you're like, you guys are fat generals, this and that, like, bro. Like, I get that your generals are fat. Also, remember that these guys have been in for 30, 40, 50, not 50, 30, 40 years at this point for the 4 stars. And like, they've let themselves go because they're in a position where they're in charge of 30,000 people at once. And PT is not on their highest priority as a commander. I get that we should lead from the front, and these generals need to kind of keep the fitness on the forefront of their mind still, even as a 4-star, 2-star, whatever. But at the same time, the way he articulated that was very disrespectful, dude. Like, okay, you're the Sec War, got it. But that doesn't mean you talk to a 4-star and call him fat to his face. And he used other stuff that I just think his articulation was poor. I think he lost a lot of respect in that moment with all the general officer staff that he brought. And I think it was a waste of time. And I think it was televised because they wanted to make a political statement, Lane, right? If this was really about military business, it wouldn't have been televised. If it was really about military business, I doubt Trump would actually be there. But it wasn't just about military business. It was about, the other part of it is the political part of this meeting. So I think we kind of talk about the standards. Yes, let's raise the standards. Let's get rid of the woke policies. Let's get back to training troops and preparing for war. But then the other side of it was like, by the way, do what we say or get out. Fall in line or get out. Because we don't get to see the untelevised portion of that meeting where they're getting read onto shit. They're like in a skiff, all of them. And who knows where is the next war? What are we getting prepared for? Are we getting prepared for a war with Iran, Russia, China? Are we getting prepared for a war with the cartels in Mexico? Or are we getting prepared for more domestic deployments, as the new term goes? Because, like, what are we doing? And why is it that 3 or 4 generals now have spoke out against this? And the common theme amongst them that I hear is basically like, they're not going to follow unlawful orders. What is that about? So, yes, there is if we were to read the book, yes, what you're saying is what the book is. But if we were to read it between the lines, I think there's more that was actually happening during this meeting. The question is what's to come? And why did a 3-star I think he's a 3-star, the guy that retired from the Air Force, was he a 3-star or 4-star? He just retired. He left. He's not happy about the meeting. You got other retired 4-stars that are not happy about the meeting. So I'm just kind of, like, what happened, dude? And why did you televise this? Why even bring heat on yourself with the televising of this anyway? If you really wanted to have them just fall in line, then have a private meeting and fucking say that. But to televise it and then beat around the bush, and then we haven't even got to Trump yet. Okay.
Makawa, they left. I'm gonna be honest with you. Me and you, just I guess we won't agree on this. If they don't, these very people you're talking about are the same people kicking people out of the military daily.
Not all of them, Lane.
No, bullshit, Kawa. Every 3 and 4-star in a 30th or 35 career has kicked people out of the military for standards, discipline, for crime, for criminal, for UCMJ. All of them have looked someone in the eyes and said, "The military is not for you anymore."
Okay.
You haven't met the standards, so be it. So
I agree with that.
I'm not arguing with you fundamentally that it couldn't have took place somewhere else. I agree. I also agree it didn't have to be on TV.
Right.
I will say, not to play semantics with you, he didn't call them fat to their face. He said, we have fat people in our military, and I got fat admirals and colonels walking around the Pentagon. That was what he actually said. So what I'm saying, a lot of those 3 and 4-stars that are sitting in that room, to your point, I say it comically, the very people that are having their time wasted are the very people that typically waste people's time. The CENTCOM commanders whose office in Tampa often has all his commanders fly from Qatar, fly from Jordan, fly from Lebanon, and all go back to Tampa to do a quarterly commander's update brief, or they'll do forward in Qatar. So my point is, I'm not saying they do it for the politics. I agree with you, by the way, that it definitely had a political backdrop to it. All I'm saying is the very people, a 3-star from the Air Force says, I can't follow unlawful orders. I can't do this. Okay, then hang your jacket up, just like the other thousands of people a year have to do. It's very simple. You serve at the pleasure of the president. If you're a general officer, a senior officer of the military, this ain't the first. I told you in a previous podcast, go to Stanley McChrystal. He pissed Obama off, and the dude was out of his seat in less than 72 hours. And he flew Stanley McChrystal all the way back to the White House to tell him he was fired. He could have dropped him an Outlook email, and he could have packed his bags and left country. So, again, one wrong doesn't make a right, but I can give you multiple scenarios where there's a lot of similarities of GOs doing this.
But I don't disagree with any of that.
Uniforms.
I don't disagree with anything you just said. I think what you said is pretty much like, business is business, and that's what they were doing. But I'm saying like there was more behind it because, like, okay, it's one thing to politicize an event, one thing to politicize, stats and data, but then to politicize your military, what's the point of that? What's the point of televising all your generals in one place for the entire world to see? Is it a power move? Like, what is it? Is it to get China a little bit worried and get, like, what is it? Because then we're left to speculate. This is the first in history. And I know you want to just chalk it to like, well, these dudes were having a serious fucking business meeting. And I agree with you that there was probably very serious parts of it. But the parts that were televised, look, bro, if you and I as some E7, E8, E9s are sitting here like, what the fuck? There's people in other countries that are like, what was that clown show? There's a clown show. The full video is on YouTube. And we just look weak, dude. So I don't get it. Like, if it's business, then keep it business. But to televise it and then make the remarks that you did, it just looks weak, dude. And it makes all of us guess as to why. Now, the generals that are leaving, you're right, bro. You're right. At this point, if you're a 3-4 star, either fall in line because you're at a place where you basically will have to fall in line, or like you said, McChrystal, your way out, right? And so if you want to get out. But then it's like, then why are they getting out? What's the, what was said and what's to come? We don't necessarily want a bunch of we don't necessarily want the entire apparatus of our military to fall in line with Donald Trump or Pete Hegseth. I personally don't want that. I want some 4 stars and 3 stars up there to be like, go against the grain a little bit and be like, not to a point where they get fired, but be like, hold on, this is unlawful, or this is dumb, or this is a waste of money, or whatever. But now I feel like they're saying, no, every one of you will vote yes unanimously. And if anybody stands up against this, then we're going to kick you out. That's what I felt like it between Hegseth and what Trump said. It's exactly that. There is no room for objectivity is how it came off. That's my only concern. The rest is business. I get it.
Again, I'm not over here disagreeing with you in terms of it didn't have to be publicized. It didn't have to be politicized. All I'm saying is rewind 6.5, 7 years, and we had a SecDef and an administration that was undercutting Trump actively, daily, yearly. So starting with Milley's fat ass, I said it. So there's just, as much as we see the current news cycle and go, oh man, this is messed up. If you and I were talking about this to some civilians, Kawa, I would explain this more delicately, and I would agree with everything you're saying. But watching some of the veterans flip out about this, it's like, dude, shut up. Like, you have been a part of far more circuses and this stuff. It's just, it is so easy to get so overreact. Dude, it doesn't, Trump, I don't even know what he said during the whole thing. I listened to like 30 minutes of it, and I lost track of him, of what we were even there. We were talking about auto pins and how his signature looks great. Yeah. And the auto pin does. I don't know. The point that I'm making is that I don't take the man serious. And I know the rational person says, but Lane, it's the president of the United States. You should take him serious. Yeah, but I don't take all these other people serious either. So like,
and if you don't take him serious, and you got 3 and 4 stars that don't take him serious now after this meeting either.
Yeah, and no one took anything serious 4 years ago, Kyle. Just a year ago when he wasn't the president, no one gave a shit about any of this.
Okay, true. But then this was a chance.
4 years, no one cared about politics. Everything was gravy.
Well, no,
president was.
the Republicans cared about politics. The Democrats didn't. Now the Democrats care
Nobody
about
did.
politics, and the Republicans
That's my
don't.
point, Cal. That's my point right there. I'm not over here delusionally saying
Right.
one side is right, one side is wrong. I'm just saying both sides of every door inside your house is painted the same color. You look at one side, it's white. Look at the other, it's white. Guess what? Whatever party's doing it now was complaining about it 4 years ago. Whoever's complaining about it now was doing it 4 years ago. Literally, when I say doing it, I mean the exact activities.
Right.
And that doesn't mean it makes it right now. And at some point, hopefully the cycle stops doing this. But I said this back in 2016. I said this to multiple friends. Guys, y'all are all laughing at this investigation X, investigation Y, investigation Z. Now we're taking them to real estate court in New York, and now we're taking them to documents case in Florida. You think he's the only one doing this stuff? All of that cesspool of a city's all doing it, all of them. So it never stops. And that's the point where it's like sometimes the vote in the voting booth, the democracy we speak of, becomes a moot point because there's this city called DC that I lived in for 7.5 years. They're all doing what the hell they want anyway. So again, I'm not saying all of this to excuse the president of the United States. I'm not saying this to say that people don't support Hegseth. But when I see 3 and 4 stars complaining about stuff, I find it idea rich because half of them end up fired from an investigation of them doing ill-advised stuff. The other half of them are looking for some transitioning into some chairman of some board, getting paid. Let's just take General Austin, for example. He was getting on the board, I think, or chair board for L3, making $500,000 a year prior to taking SEFDEP. And look, he's worth it. He was a 4-star, ran CENTCOM. He has ends, he has relationships. He can get these industries, these businesses
Contracts.
and industry partners into certain meetings. So I don't hate the player, but I'm not going to hate the game. And that's the issue is people are starting to hate the game. And it's like, don't punch someone in the face. And then when Cowell sees you slipping in 2 years and Cowell punches you back in your face, go, oh, Cowell punched me.
There's a lot of that. No, you're right, dude.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's sad. And that's why now I have said this a few times now. And I say that there is no such thing and you may not agree with this, Lane, but I personally don't think that there's a left or a right, like politically.
I agree.
And we perpetuate it as Americans. We perpetuate it because we love to point to the other side. Why should we take ownership for anything when we can just point our fingers to the other side of the aisle and say it's their fault? That's why this is happening. And then when it's their president, we come down on their president and we say it's Obama, it's Biden. This is why. And then when it's Trump, it's like no. It's not Trump. It's from the last administration. Trump has to clean up the last administration. No, let me tell y'all the cycle. The cycle is that the current administration demonizes the last administration as the current administration continues to corrupt and indebt Americans more. Okay? They just do what they want to do for 4 years. And they make it feel like whenever you criticize them, well, they say, hey, I'm just cleaning up Obama's mess. I'm just cleaning up Biden's mess. All right. When the Democrat comes in the next 4 years or 8 years, he's going to say, I'm just cleaning up Trump's mess. I'm just cleaning up Vance's mess while they're making a mess. You see how much of a mess Trump is making now? And then anytime you criticize him, you say, no, that was Biden. We got the best economy. We got the lowest gas prices. All while what? All while just continuously corrupting and indebting America more and more while life for Americans suck. Okay. And so we perpetuate it. That's why when I say the left and right is dead, I don't mean that Democrats are dead and Republicans are dead. I'm saying that the two parties are dead. They're both one and the same at this point. I know we've said that for decades.
Self-serve, yeah.
This is the first time it's just been so clear. It's been so clear that it's really there's no left and right. And Trump is a big like demonstration of that. Everything we bitched about with Biden, Trump is also doing now. Everything he ran on during his campaign, he has yet to fulfill or execute or even start on. The getting rid of or deporting illegals. Bro, you're saying there's 25 million illegals here and you maybe deported 60,000 so far? You're not putting a dent in 25 million, right? That's going to take 20 more years. So it's just like, but but you know, we're building a wall, and you know, we're giving ICE more budget to fucking become a secret police and Gestapo, and they're just snatching up what started with illegal immigrants is now went to people with visas and green cards. Then now it's at a place where it's like if American citizens will have their visas taken, and eventually, and we've already deported like at least one American citizen. I think we got him back. But deporting American citizens is becoming a very real and mainstream talking point. And this is the slippery slope that we have created with the 1A. Remember, it all started with the Hamas kids. Sorry, the college kids that were pro-Hamas. We had to take away their 1A and label it hate speech. And then it was immigrants, and immigrants are here. We got to get rid of them. And then under deportation, we're fucking with everybody now. ICE is rolling up everybody. And on top of that, now we got domestic deployments here on U.S. soil, okay, and that's a whole ass topic of its own, which we could probably transition to. But I mean, dude, it's just everything is just gradually getting worse, and this is the first time where both parties are involved and they're both voting for it. Notice that both parties blocked the Epstein vote, okay. Notice that both parties blocked everything that's happening overseas with Russia and Ukraine. I mean, I know it's a tangent. I'm wearing my tinfoil hat every day.
The civility, and again, I think politics used to always be this corrupt. They just did a better job of hiding it a little bit. But Kawa, none of what you just said surprises me because I know humans. I knew when you do something to one, you're expecting the next to take some kind of moral high ground and not do the same. And I'm not saying they should do it back or they should try to seek retribution. But did they not think, did Comey think no one was going to peel the onion back? Let's say there's no real evidence of Comey doing anything. Did he not think that they were going to use the same tactics to try to again, I'm almost speechless because I could use every scenario you just went down and said, you know, we talk about ICE as being empowered. Well, 4 years ago, they had no power. Mm-hmm. So it's just like these extreme sways one way to the other.
Very extreme.
We used to have middle sways. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a little bit of right, little bit of left. It's like a little seesaw. Now we're doing this to where it's like it's just going to topple one side or topple the other way, and you have an all out civil war is what it seems.
Yep. See, every American that doesn't get, let's say, unemployment pay, right? Like when you're not, and you get the benefits from these social programs. If you're an American that's not getting a benefit from that social program, then you're like, dude, I'm over here busting my butt, and these people are over there just waiting in line for a couple hours one day, and then they go home with $1,300 food card or whatever, EBT card every month, and they're collecting another whatever for whatever social program they're part of, social service program. But nobody complains when everybody gets a stimulus check. Do you complain when you get a stimulus check?
Well, I didn't.
I'm just saying though. Would you complain? Look, bro, if you got a stimulus check for $2,000, would you complain?
No, I wouldn't complain about it. No.
Nobody complains, and then nobody also says, "Well, where'd this money come from?" Right? Because you're complaining about where the money, my tax dollars are going to these lazy people that are, just sitting at home. Dude, when the government gives you a stimulus check, you don't sit there and say, where this money come from, right? It's coming from your own tax dollars, and they actually owe you a lot more than $2,000. But they're just like, here's a little, here's a couple shekels, and be happy with it, and everybody cheers. And so, but if we talk about social programs, Republicans, fuck social programs. That's just the government's teat that everybody's on, and then liberals have their own fucking problems that they will sit there and yell at when it's all the same. See, the thing is that it's all tax dollars, guys. It's our tax dollars. We're paying way too much in taxes. We pay taxes for taxes, right? and yet you want to let them politicize what they're doing with the money. It's just stuff like that. But then we're gonna blame everything that's been happening on Biden. 4 years later, when there's a Democrat, everyone's gonna blame Trump, and it's just a perpetual cycle until we all fucking we're all old and gray and we're dead, and then that's it. So with this, it's like I guess the moral of the story here, after we've been just running our mouths for the last 30 minutes, is that we cannot sit there and bandwagon for your guy, okay? And you cannot sit there and completely be against the president because he's not your guy. Listen, I don't like Hexeth and I don't like Donald Trump. But at the same time, there are things that he's doing and there are things that is out of his hand. So I can criticize him on things he has control of, and I can criticize him when as a president he kind of oversteps. But then there are some things that are completely out of his hands that everybody blames him for. And the same thing with Biden. But I feel like instead of just blaming each other, why not find some middle ground? What Lane was talking about, where's the middle? You know, there is no middle. It's like extreme right, extreme left these days. I mean, Charlie Kirk's death didn't help. Didn't exactly unify us, you know.
I'll take you down a quick memory lane, not to circle back because I know you don't care. I start with this guy because I'm going to be honest, this is where it started. Leon Panetta, Chuck Hagel, prior enlisted guy, Ashton Carter, James Mattis, Mark T. Esper, Lloyd Austin. So, again, I know people are like, Hegseth is a Fox News anchor. Austin, general. Esper, Mattis, 4-star. Ashton, Chuck Hagel, prior enlisted. Leon Panetta, CIA director. I could keep going, but my point is this. It's easy to pick on him right now because he's under Trump. If he was nominated under some other president, it wouldn't be this polarizing. It's only polarizing because he's under Trump.
That's like you just named like a all-star lineup for somebody.
Yeah, Leon Panetta. Don't ask, don't tell. I had 2 scout dudes from an HAC company wanting to marry each other. They didn't even date each other. They weren't even dating. They just wanted BAH. My commander's like, we need to look into this. Look into what? You gonna tell them to pull their pants down and prove it? Like what? This is the problem with anything. You know how it is, Cal. When we were in the military, as an enlisted guy, you typically are supposed to assess risk, try to mitigate risk, even through your advice to your commander or whoever you're working with. None of this stuff, none of it is surprising to me when I start hearing this stuff. Right before I got out, and me and you don't talk about this often, we had to do 350-1 training, resiliency training. I was an HHC first sergeant. That's 240 somewhat people. I'm listening to one of my NCOs in the company teach this class. Do you know this class went on about probably the first 6 of 30 slides were saying how white Caucasian males are extremists 60-something% of the time in the Army? If a white Caucasian male has tattoos in a visual part of their body, the probability is this and that. It just like pretty much as a first sergeant, I sat there listening to this going, what is this right now? Can we go qualify? Or can we at least go make the border pool look pretty? So again, I just give some people some insight that, again, maybe Hegseth ain't the best messenger of it, but I can tell you there is things that he mentioned that are problems. There are standards, and I won't say what standard I'm talking about, but there are standards in schools that people are allowed to enter because we have exceptional females in the DOD. One of the most premier units in the military has some of the most gifted females. The problem is we looked at those most gifted females and said, they all can do it. If these 5 can do it, they all can do it. And then we opened the floodgates to an organization and an institution that wasn't ready to receive and diversify the way we were being told. So military schooling, females in the ranks, here's a trump card. If you didn't serve in the military, I'll let you know. If you get pregnant downrange, meaning you're deployed and get pregnant, you automatically have to go home. No questions asked. Doesn't matter. You go home. Could you imagine, Kawa, you and me, 2 E5s in Afghanistan, 6 months in going, man, if I do this one action, I go home. How many soldiers would do you know that you served with in your junior days would have took a golden ticket to go back home to mama or back home to girlfriend X or Y to get the hell out of one of those shitholes.
Oh yeah.
Everyone. So I don't want to go too far off the path. I'm just saying I could give real world scenarios that can rear its face in the issues that we have as an institution as the Army. Take Hegseth out of the equation. Our military has struggled for a while culturally, and maybe not the Marines. I'll tell you, the Marines, those Marines embrace being broke, and they're freaking disciplined and they're prideful. But the Army, I can only speak for the Army. The institution has had an issue for a while. The Air Force, God bless what they do, but I'm here to tell you, they're not the most disciplined and hard service to be in. So if you tell them or you push them culturally a little bit, they'll break because they're calling each other by first names and stuff. So that's a diatribe for me to go on. It's just, I don't care about Hegseth. I'm not defending Trump or the meeting. I'm not defending any of it. I'm just saying there are institutional issues in the Army. And I personally wasn't the biggest fan of Milley because I felt like there are going to be times, to your point, Kawa, you want 3 and 4 stars to push back. I think a lot of them do. I also think that when they do too much, multiple presidents, not just Trump, have fired their ass, Barack Obama. So I just think that there is, I don't know, I haven't seen the paperwork myself, but there are transcripts of Milley calling other actors, state presidents, to inform them that if Trump goes off the Richter scale and sends a nuke or a bomb, I'll call you. In no other scenario is that okay. But because it's against Trump, because people thought Trump was going to do the Hitler thing, it was okay then. And again, the guy, speaking of fat generals, I don't care if he's got 30, 35 years. He's got a long tab Cowie. He's 5'6" and he's like 5 feet wide. So at some point, someone should have said, hey, sir, I think it's time to go. But if they're riding that general line and they're getting promoted and they're getting promoted and they're getting promoted, I'm okay. But you can't then say you have fitness standards and fat standards and whatever. Because I'll tell you, you know who will get kicked out of the Army in a heartbeat? Us types, the E9s, the E8s. Will be the first ones they'll get rid of. That 4-star general will get rid of your ass the minute you do anything. Yeah. Hey, Kawa, really? All these years you did that? You know better. You got to go. We got standards up here.
I mean, yeah, because they get to a rank, like officers get to a rank, usually like major and above. They kind of.
It's a divergent. It's divergent. They continue to get big raises and authority, and E9s just keep getting promoted.
It gets political.
They don't get anything more.
It's a lot of politicking at that point and forward for jobs. But also no one's really telling you that, hey, hey, major, hey, lieutenant colonel, you need to lose some weight, do some PT. Who's going to tell them that?
Nobody
Who's going to tell lieutenant colonel that lieutenant colonel is a freaking, you got a colonel that's like a group commander. And I mean, who's going to tell a battalion commander? The group commander, well, SF, that's a different world. I'm based when it comes to that. The regular Army, I don't know what battalion commanders look like in the regular Army.
They don't look like Green Berets. I tell you that.
So,
I'm not excusing.
And then you got battalion commanders in the Marine Corps that'll out PT their enlisted dudes. You got battalion commanders that'll fucking run a 5:15 mile.
And real quick, Kyle, because I don't want to send the wrong message, because there's going to be some nerd be like, well, and females. Dude, I work with some of the most talented females that you've ever seen. I've always said that I think some of the rotary wing pilots, some of the females are most talented pilots you'll see. That doesn't mean all of them. Same thing with males. Not all males are infantry.
Unicorn.
Not all males are special forces, interrogators, targeting special. I'm telling you, I could go on and on and on.
EOD.
But for them to say that this is an attack on all females, it's like, shut up. There were schools that changed their field schedule to make sure that females could go to that school.
Right.
So I don't care. I don't care. I used to say this before. People are like, what do you think about girls in Ranger School? I was like, I don't care. What do you mean you don't care? I was like, because when the female shows up at a Ranger tab, good on her. She's done something that no one else has ever done. You know who I'm concerned about? That freaking dude who wouldn't go get his school
certification, but now he'll go. That's who I care about.
Mm.
So anyway,
I've just when it comes to these military culture issues, a part of me is understanding and empathetic to the civilian populace that's never served, and they think that these are big deals. Like Hegseth calling generals, and I agree with you, by the way, Cal. I don't think he should have to do that, and nor should have been televised. But those very 4 and 3 stars are the very people that have people flying to come see them, so that they can give them a what for. in some auditorium or whatever. That doesn't make it right. I'm just saying it's kind of like made me crackle a
Yeah.
little bit.
It was a bit of a dog and pony show, to be honest. If you want my take on it, I think it was just a bit of a dog and pony show.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think
I agree.
Trump said one necessary thing there, or one merit of a thing. I mean, everything he said was a rant. You know,
He likes
talking
his
about
signature.
yeah, that's his signature. He goes off and somehow he starts praising himself about something. But
He literally goes, "I like my signature."
yeah, his signature is kind of cool though. Did you
He
see
goes,
it on
"But
the
that
Epstein birthday card?
He goes, "I signed y'all's promotion orders. Biden didn't. He auto pen, but he signed his son's part."
Yeah, well, I mean, he signed the Epstein birthday card too.
Oh
Anyway,
my goodness, dude.
Well,
All right, we got to get off this topic because
yeah, we gotta get off this topic. You know, so then let me get your thoughts. Let me get your thoughts on the deployment of troops on U.S. grounds. Now, not necessarily what it looks like traditionally, because we all have training grounds all over the U.S. That's why military bases are as big as they are. We could do entire fucking combined arms exercises at 29 Palms with, near a division full of troops. That's why they're as big as they are. So then why do you feel like, and we have Mount Towns, Lane, we have urban warfare centers that are huge. Camp Pendleton had one of the biggest ones I've seen, and that was a long time ago. So why then do you think we need for Trump to say, or Hegseth to say, that we need to do more training in the cities? We need to have training grounds. Sorry, that was the term they used.
Trump so you want me to entertain that, or you want me to just go to what's really happening, because we both know what's happening?
Here's the thing. I don't think
I'll color if you want me to.
I think Trump's smart. I think he says things in a way for a reason. If you listen to how he speaks, he gets these little
legal talk. Huh? It's legal talk. It's something. I think it's something his lawyers have told him and sprinkled him in there to stay. I'm just guessing.
Right. I mean, it could be, but then I've heard a couple mentions to this as far as using troops, because he's getting a lot of criticism, right? So with these, he's getting all these questions of, well, what if, you got Americans, you got soldiers pointing their guns at Americans and this and that. And they're like, they don't acknowledge any of that. They say that we need to clean up the cities for crime, homeless people, but there's now this growing kind of normalization of using military to do things on American soil, where 5 years ago and further, that was like something big had to happen if you're gonna deploy troops or activate troops. It was a natural disaster, something like that. But what do you think about how about just a general question of what do you think about using the military to fight crime and apparently homeless poverty in the cities?
Even if it achieves the effect you want it to, you can't do it. You cannot do it, because it becomes that slippery slope. And that's how countries like ours, far away before us, have fallen. You can't go to Venezuela. I could give you countries in the last 15, 20 years that have gone down this road. I got to be real careful with this. Posse comitatus, there's a reason the military is supposed to be foreign and not freaking domestic. And I know what people would, foreign and domestic. Okay, yes. What we're saying is, if another country were to invade our country, we would protect the country domestically. For idiots out there trying to twist that domestic piece to mean we can be, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. I will tell you, whether we agree with it or not, the DC thing was different because of the laws and the way that place is governed and who's in charge of whatever. But when we start sending military to these other towns in our country, like I said, even if it achieves the effect or the outcomes that you want, you're playing a slippery slope, because now you've opened the Pandora's box to continue to do so. And then you almost start desensitizing and almost appropriating, if you will, not appropriating. It's almost like cultural appropriation to something, if you will. It's like you're getting the populace used to that's the case. So full stop, I think the answer is no. However, and I don't know this to be true, Cal, so I'm not going to defend it. There's been a mix, and I don't know. I wasn't in LA when it happened, so I can't speak to it. And I don't trust the news. I don't trust none of the news, because I feel like they're all spinning it each way. I have heard from a little source from DC. I can't speak to other cities, that they postured these people to federal buildings. Now, I can tell you, I saw people at the train station in DC, so that's not a federal building. So it made me question. The second piece is, do these National Guard troops have actual weapons? And are they loaded weapons? I know to you and me, it doesn't really matter optically. If they have weapons in their hand, they have weapons in their hand. I'll tell you, oftentimes in DC, when we did what's that shit called, like riot control and all that, we didn't have weapons. We didn't even have bean bags or anything. So or if we did have weapons, we had empty magazines. But I think, full stop, to answer your question, no. I think it's a slippery slope. I think once you start it, it's hard to put that back in. And I think it only takes, culturally speaking, one way or the other, this is going to go too far.
Well, we agree on that. Because
However,
feel like
governors do your goddamn jobs, and mayors. Like some of these cities are out of control. And you don't need National Guard, by the way. But
I don't think you need National Guard. But then there was, and here's the thing, I may be ignorant to how we're recovering from the whole defund the police thing. Are we like recovering from that? Are we back at full, I don't know. So maybe there is a shortage of law enforcement officers in that city or in that district or whatever, and they're just like, look, we don't got enough. Guys are working 50, 60-hour weeks or whatever, and we just, and maybe even if they pulled from the state, they still don't have enough troopers and, highway patrol or whatever. And I get it. Why? But then why doesn't the governor activate his own National Guard for that? Why is it taking for Trump to make this happen?
Well, one, Trump shouldn't do it, but I don't think they're going to activate their own National Guards because
no, they don't want to.
But
I'm saying if it's a technicality, couldn't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, the governor could, yeah. But see, this is sometimes I struggle with trying to honestly intellectually approach this stuff because I'm not going to believe bullshit either way. And I'm not accusing you of this, but in the past few weeks, people have said, so are we going to send National Guard to Baton Rouge, Louisiana? That's a red state. Dude, shut up. The governor's red. The 3 cities, by the way, if you go look at the statistics in Louisiana, because it's my home state, so I'll use it as an example, is a popular vote state for governor. So 3 cities carry the popular vote typically: New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Shreveport. Population-wise, all go blue. That state was blue for the last 8 years. They just got a new Republican governor this year. Can the Republican governor deploy National Guard to New Orleans? Yes. And guess what they do? They do it very often. They do it for Mardi Gras. They do it for all the big they do. So my point being is Memphis, Tennessee. Tennessee is a red state. When they say red state, it's a red governor. But you know where I live, Kawa. I live in one of the most progressive areas of the state right now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Memphis is one of the myrtle capitals of the world. So to your point, yes, the governor should do better. The governor should do their jobs and police their states, but so should the mayors. The fact that these mayors live in these very cities and they see the crime, they see the rates, they see murder, it's astonishing to me that you would even give the president a chance to even do that. Because the president's incentive is political. I don't care who's the president. His incentive is political wins. As a mayor, it's your community, it's your kids, it's your schools, I don't understand how crime going unchecked, whether it be through the policing force. I'll be honest with you, Kyle, I don't think police are the issue half the time anymore. These freaking judges are insane. I don't know if you read the North Carolina headlines a few weeks ago, these magistrate judges. Do you know that you don't have to have a law degree or be an actual judge to be a magistrate judge in North Carolina? That's like you and me determining bonds for people. How is that legal? What are we doing? In what world? I don't care where you're from, what political beliefs you have. How is that acceptable?
Yeah, I don't understand. Why do lawyers go to school for 8-9 years? If there's all these little shortcuts to being a magistrate judge.
I mean, anyone who never got in trouble. I've had soldiers. The magistrate, when you get arrested, determines whether you're getting booked and released and given a court date, or you're getting stuck in jail and you're going to get a bond or bail of X. It's a pretty significant decision point in our justice system.
Well, so that's if that's an issue though, but that's the actual issue that we should be addressing.
That's
But
one of the issues. Judges are the big issue. I just use them
right.
as an example. Judges, like, dude, I just watched a case 2 days ago on YouTube. This woman was on her this white woman in Texas on her 10th DUI. How? How do we get to that point? 10? 10 DUIs? This ain't a race thing. I'm not this. I don't care
Well,
what
it's
race
like
you are,
the
what
no.
ethnicity. 10 DUIs,
But what about the dude that got arrested like 39 times, ended up
40 times. Yeah,
stabbing?
what do we? Kawa, I saw you get stopped by the cops and mistakenly get for some other brown person apparently, and I was like shocked. I was like, damn, Kawa's about to get rolled up. Like, there are people been arrested 40 times. Keep in mind, that's the cases they were actually arrested for, booked, and or went to court for. How many cases didn't make it to a docket? If that person, how many times did they not get caught with a crime or crime XYZ? I don't care what state, I don't care what political, I'll shut up here and I'll let you go because you're going to get me going on this stuff. I don't care where you come
No, it's
from,
good.
what religion you are, what color you are. In no way possible should we have people walking our streets with 40, 41, 42 conviction. This, by the way,
Yeah.
not charges, convictions. Like, have been found to be guilty of the crime or you've pled guilty. In what world?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. There's definitely a lot of broken subsystems within the judicial system. Yes, I agree with you. Even down to the city level, because you're right. I don't know when we got soft on crime. I don't know when the judicial system got so woke that they felt like, well, he got arrested 38 times and got released. Just book him and keep him in jail and then release him. It's like catch and release for these criminals. It's like, bro, I don't understand. What is the issue? Is the issue is that who is this coming from? Where is this policy coming from that we need to be soft on crime? And I don't understand, dude. And it's such a complex topic that you and I don't even know where to start, right? And this conversation did not start about, or this part of the conversation did not start about our judicial system. It started with deploying military on U.S. soil.
Yeah,
but you're right.
I went off a fucking tangent.
and it rippled to it branched to this. But I think, like, to kind of get back on the point with the U.S. military, I don't think we need the U.S. military on U.S. soil in other than natural disaster cases, or legitimately, like, if there is some sense of riot control, then maybe like the BLM riots, when I was in 19th group, or at the time in 19th group, we got activated to help LA sheriffs and LA police with the riots. And I think we offered some assistance and stuff, but we didn't get to do what SF guys get to do, other than flying around the helicopter and landing in the middle of downtown. That was kind of cool. But it's not like we rolled up people, and it's not like we shot people or anything. And we had live ammunition. We got a JAG brief. We got, the whole spiel, no warning shots. If you have to defend yourselves, shoot to kill. But at the same time, these are Americans. I remember getting that brief, Lane. I remember sitting in that JAG brief, and they were talking about killing Americans, right? Because he has to check the boxes. I mean, who else are we deploying against? So he's talking about, look, and everyone's kind of like, bro, what are they gonna say? Like, what authors are they gonna give us the authority to shoot and kill? Yeah, they did. If you guys want to know, they absolutely did give us the authority to shoot and kill. I had green tip in all my magazines, okay, and we were fully loaded to like combat load, 6-7 mags each. But every Green Beret in that briefing knew that we weren't going to shoot any Americans, regardless of how bad it got, because there's no way some teenagers are gonna overwhelm us to the point where we have to now open fire on these teenagers. There's other means of escalation of force that we can use. And so, but see, we're Green Berets, and I'm biased, and I'm kind of based on where our integrity and morals stand against operating against Americans on U.S. soil. But I can't say that for the 18, 19, 20-year-old National Guard kid that's following orders, that then is also given a live, given an M16 or M4 with live ammo, and told, given that same brief. Okay, he hasn't been to combat. He doesn't have that experience. He could get spooked and put that safety selector switch on fire and shoot one American, and that's all it takes is for one National Guard guy to shoot one American, and then that story spreads like wildfire, and now every American is going to think that the National Guard are going to fucking kill us, right? And then that's one of the actual practical steps to what Lane was talking about, a slippery slope towards worst case scenario, which would be then like martial law. And that's what a lot of people I think are scared of, Lane. When we're talking about the meeting with the generals, what's that about? The deploying people on U.S. troops, what's that about? When people kind of just, put on their tinfoil hats, and not saying that if you put a tinfoil hat on, you're wrong. I'm just saying that you're thinking outside of the mainstream narrative, and you're like, well, what if it leads to martial law? And nobody wants that. Nobody wants curfews and checkpoints and for their expanded authorities to come into your house and take your guns for the sake of safety. And that's the scare, right? So anyway, we obviously there's nothing crazy has happened with that yet, but for California National Guard to go to Oregon is going to be interesting to see how that develops. It's not going to be exactly the same as DC, I think. DC was a little more chill. But like Portland,
I've seen videos from Chicago, and it's popping off.
Yeah, that's going to be the real crazy part, is what happens when National Guard goes to DC and they're actually they're fighting against gangs with fucking automatic weapons, right?
Yeah.
So that's the scare.
And not even connected, Kawa, so I don't want you to roll your eyes at me, but everything's a slippery slope. There was a guy who used to stand behind the seal of the United States of America who put an American on a target list, and he dropped a bomb on him. He didn't get due process. He intentionally killed this dude. There was your start of killing Americans without due process by the military. Of course, it wasn't a domestic, but when that happened, I said, when it starts to desensitize you. Fast forward 10 years, now this president's infiltrating National Guard on domestic soils and deploying them to, achieve objectives, whether they be political or real. I just, these slippery slopes, it's like, well, in 10 years, the next president is going to try to use National Guard to, whatever. And I just think it continues to build and build and build. And that's why you have these breaking points in history where something happens and it becomes a historical event that took place in our country.
Yeah. And so that's the worst case scenario. There's a lot that Americans can deal with, but Americans can't deal with the idea of American military now operating against Americans. That's it, to me,
I agree.
In everything that I believe, that would be the final red line. So we have to be careful, and this administration needs to be careful, and the troops that are being deployed on these streets obviously need to be very careful.
Have you seen some videos? Did you see videos of the DC thing?
I saw some videos.
Bro, they had some cooks patrolling the street.
Bro, that was
nobody in DC was scared of these people.
That was so messed up. You got these little E3s and below out there with trash bags sweeping the street, picking their nose. Yeah, bro, like what? And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna let them go home on the 29th day. They can't even get a tax break.
Hey, here's a secret: if a soldier tells you, "Hey, you stop," and you start running, I promise you, they're not gonna get you. If they got their kit on, just run.
Yeah, just run. I mean, it's ridiculous. We used National Guard to clean up DC a little bit. Okay, that's Operation Clean Sweep. All right.
Police call. Across DC.
Police call DC, and now go police call Oregon.
What they were really doing was looking for a pair of NVGs that DC National Guard lost. That fell out of a helicopter, and they had to get hands across DC.
Say a pair of like ANVS 6s, some Black Hawk. He's like, oh shit, lost my nods. Well,
we got to deploy.
We got to deploy National Guard to find these.
Some homeless dude has some black things trying to.
I don't put it past him, man. I don't put it past him. Trump is crazy. He'll do some shit like that.
Man.
Well, okay, let's move on. How about we jump across the pond a little bit, and for the last part of this podcast, and talk about the current ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas that Trump and the admin are trying to basically broker and mediate, except there's no representation from the Palestinian people or Hamas. And actually, when they did try to bring Hamas in to get the initial briefing on the ceasefire agreement, Israel tried to kill them all in Qatar with a bomb and failed. But now we have the ceasefire agreement that Hamas has partially agreed to because they've agreed to the hostage portion of this, Lane. Israel is also giving up a lot of hostages. Let's just call them what they are. They're not prisoners, they're hostages. Roughly about 2,000, I think, people are being let go from the Israeli prisons, and apparently 270 of those are Palestinians with life prison sentences. So kind of an interesting fun fact there. And then obviously Hamas is supposed to release the other 40 something Israeli hostages, and some of those are actually prisoners of war because they do have some IDF that they have detained as well. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them that they detained. So they also have some POWs, but the part of that Hamas is not agreeing to is the when it comes to the governance of Gaza and giving it completely to the Palestinian Authority. But that's just a brief summary of what's going on. But to go to the beginning, we have to talk about how this ceasefire agreement came about. Hamas, nor Palestine, nor the Palestinian Authority was there to represent Hamas's talking points or negotiation points. So the proposal was very much put together by the U.S. and Israel. And then there was the other 6 countries, like I briefed in my video the other day: Egypt, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Jordan, and I'm missing one. Egypt. There's one more, and so those Turkey, and those are the 6 kind of major Arab Muslim countries that kind of represent the Middle East. But those are also the 6 that are the most corrupt. However, those 6, the U.S., Israel, Pakistan, and Indonesia of all countries, had something to do with this proposal, and they were all okay with it. Hamas agreed partially again to the hostages, but not the governance. But there was supposed to be a ceasefire immediately. That's per Trump's words. However, since Trump posted that the ceasefire would be immediate in the last 4 or 5 days, 6 days, Israel has killed on average about 110 people in Gaza every day since then. Okay. The pattern of behavior for Israel is to break a ceasefire agreement somehow. But this time they broke their own ceasefire agreement that they put together with Trump and the other countries before it even... And there is no ceasefire. They have yet to cease their fire on Gaza. And they're not... And they want Hamas to completely give up their arms. How can anybody agree to give up completely? Yep, we're going to lay down our firearms. We're going to give it all up. And then also they want Hamas to leave, by the way. They said Hamas can't stay in Gaza. They have to go. So they have to go somewhere. But then the Palestinian Authority are going to come in and take over. But nobody was there for this proposal. Do you know anything about the proposal, Lane, in particular?
I'm reading as you talk right now.
So
25-point peace plan.
Yeah, the 20-point peace plan is basically where Hamas is going to just lay down firearms or all guns. They're going to, they have to collapse the tunnels. That was one of the conditions. They have to destroy all their caches. Okay, whatever caches they have, go. They got to go. Basically, there has to be a complete deletion of any kind of militant presence in Gaza in order for this ceasefire to be good on everybody's books. But again, Israel's already has been breaking that since the proposal. Hamas already agreed to it. They just said that we're not going to, we don't want to give complete governance to the Palestinian Authority, and Israel has to stop bombing. That was one of their conditions too. And they haven't. Oh, the aid. They said that Israel needs to let the aid into Gaza freely. And that's one of their conditions. So there's still a negotiations on this. But if everybody agrees to it, Lane, essentially what happens is Hamas leaves, Palestinian Authority comes in, TWD contracts now go out to train Palestinian security forces via the State Department. And meanwhile, Gaza will get reconstructed for the next 20, 30 years to be built into like a Riviera resort, beachfront Miami type place, which then is going to be overseen by the Board of Peace, which will be co-chaired by Donald Trump and Tony Blair. But then at that point, they will be in charge of an international security force that will come in and maintain a safe presence for the construction and the Palestinian Authority.
Is the Palestinian Authority a body of people that can be trusted? I
But-
ask because I don't know.
But there's one thing that's being left out. One question I have. Where do the under 2 million Palestinians go?
No, I'm with you. It is the Palestinian I ask you for your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Are you okay with the Palestinian Authority running Palestine?
I
As a
mean,
government,
that is
as a
about-
governance? I'm asking from a position of I don't know.
Sure. So everybody would have to say yes. Otherwise, you're not really for peace, right? So yes, I am for that. But that's only because they're the only option, Lane. Okay.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if you learn about how the Palestinian Authority came about, they were stood up by Israel and the U.S. as a front to appease the UN.
Got it.
So they're just puppets kind of in place. But that's at least they're Palestinians.
Is there no one in Hamas a part of that? Like whether we, maybe not in public, but behind the scenes, or no?
Hamas is supposed to go, and how do you identify who's Hamas? But then
That's my point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was getting after.
It's going to be a Taliban thing, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a Taliban 2.0 because they're going to say, well, Taliban has to go, and the government goes back to the Afghans, except the Afghans are the Taliban. Okay, so in this case, the Palestinians are Hamas. Every one of those Palestinians cheered for their resistance force to resist their oppressors. They don't want their only security to leave. They don't necessarily trust the Palestinian Authority because they know that they're shills for Israel. So the Palestinian Authority is going to come in and be an extension of the IDF in essence, and they're going to deport or kill their own people with possibly the IDF assistance, possibly the assistance of the international peacekeeping force that's coming in, because Israel doesn't want any Palestinians left. The Palestinian security forces are being trained not necessarily for Gaza, but for the West Bank. But they're going to use them in Gaza as well. Yeah.
So I'm reading this as you go. This is from Pew Research. Views on Palestinian Authority. An overwhelming majority of Republicans, 82%, say they have an unfavorable view of the Palestinian Authority.
Right.
A smaller majority of Democrats, 56%, say they have an unfavorable view of the Palestinian Authority, while 37% say they have a favorable opinion. The reason I'm asking from an ignorant perspective is that I was like, okay, well, if we're proposing that this body of people has to run it and Hamas can have no involvement, who is this body of people? And again, not to compare it to Taliban, my life is like, and who's to say that Hamas doesn't have senior people or influence in the Palestinian Authority? Because I just don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know if Hamas walked around Gaza with guns in their hands and just forced the citizens to do everything, or if they lived amongst their people. Like, people forget that like there's a lot of terrorist cells or resistance groups, however you want to label them. They don't just rule with guns in their hands and make people do everything. Some of these people have families, kids, they go to the same schools, and they're not, I'm not trying to like, I don't know how to say this, but like they're not conducting terrorist activities in their own streets. You're like, you know what I mean? So my point is, like, these people are living and surviving and probably trying to protect certain neighborhoods against other people or the Israelis or IDF forces doing raids or whatever.
Well, there's very much a chance of that happening, of Hamas infiltrating Palestinian Authority. The only reason they're separated now is because they're physically and geo respectively separated. You know, the Palestinian Authority has only ever really operated in the West Bank, and that's where they reside. Yep. That's where their office is. But then at this point, when Hamas steps down, I think Palestinian Authority will probably take over the Hamas office in Qatar, and then be the actual governing body. But then again, they'll still be a puppet. They're like, just like they're not really doing anything in the West Bank anyway. If you look at it, the West Bank is a island of land, right? It's been shrinking Since the 1967, the West Bank has been shrinking consistently because they encroach on all perimeters, on all sides of the perimeter, and they're enclosing the Palestinians by taking farms on the outskirts, and then the West Bank gets smaller and smaller. So really, the Palestinian Authority are a placeholder, so that once Gaza is done and over with, and we say, well, it's the Palestinian Authority run Gaza now, but they really don't because there's no Palestinians there. And again, they're just a placeholder until it becomes officially annexed by Israel. Then IDF will operate there, and the Palestinian Authority will then get transferred mainly to the West Bank, which that's where they kind of operate now. But then they'll use what you just said, Lane, as far as, because we used it in Afghanistan. We said, well, they're like, well, how come things aren't getting better in Afghanistan? We say, well, because the Taliban have infiltrated and corrupted the top offices of Afghan politics, right? And that's why we can't beat the Taliban. They're going to use the same argument with Hamas infiltrating the PA and in the West Bank, and then they're going to do the same thing to the West Bank that they did. They're going to say Hamas or the PA is now Hamas, and now therefore we got to do operations there. And then what you saw in Gaza, what you saw in Gaza since October 7th, basically 2 years now, is you're going to see that in the West Bank in the next 3 to 4 years afterwards as well. Promise you. That's the playbook. They had to villainize the people of Gaza to take it. They're going to villainize the people of the West Bank to take it. And I'd say like in 10 years safely, there will be no Palestine left. So, and that's why in my video, I was like, dude, why all the theatrics? Nobody wants a two-state solution. Surely the US doesn't, the Israel doesn't, the UK doesn't. So why do they even play these games? Just kill them all already. Bro, get this over with. Kill them all. When you kill the Palestinian people, then you can do whatever you want with Palestine. It'll be Israel forever, and that's it. And that's it. But all you do now when you say you're going to do this and it's because of this, and then it's a lie because you go back to your actual nature of things, all you do is lose respect. You lose face. Trump loses respect with Americans. We lose respect for Israel, and everybody. It's no good. At this, just kill everybody. So that'll be easier, and you waste less taxpayer dollars if you just kill everybody. So, but we'll see, because Hamas is saying no. We have conditions that are not being met. Israel is not even hearing it. Trump is pissed off at Israel apparently because they're still bombing. Because Trump said ceasefire 5 days ago, and Netanyahu keeps bombing. What's Trump gonna do? He's all bark and no bite. It was worth talking about, even though there's really no end game there other than the extinction of the people and the extinction of the land. That's the end game.
Well, I can tell you this, as I'm reading this peace plan, and obviously I'm sure there's missing some details. Point number 15 is where it will get shaky. So obviously he says people don't have to leave Gaza and can travel, leave, and come back. When you get to point 15, this is where I see the friction. The United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force, ISF, to immediately deploy in Gaza. I'm telling you right now, the reason I see friction there is because if an American soldier goes over there and is messing around over there and Israel starts acting silly, it's going to be that's where you won't be able to control the narrative. You see, when I say I'm talking about Israel,
right?
If they launch a bomb or if they launch a raid and an American flag dies, that's what you'll see for the first time in our history, where it's going to be Trump picking up the phone. And you probably don't believe this because I know you think he's somewhat not.
I believe
think
it.
In private,
I believe it.
I think in private he would tell OBB, stop.
No, I think in private, I think in public is where he tells PB stop, and in private he says don't do that again because you're making me look bad. You're making all of us look bad.
That's where all this stuff I read right here, Cal, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, yep, okay, right,
yeah,
sure,
exactly.
But that one right there is where I go, okay, if this thing has any teeth, send 200 American soldiers to Gaza. Because my point being is, now you either have to have a 3 or 4 star running that force who's compliant with messaging and whatever. But as you know as well as I know, you can't keep messaging under control when you have people on the ground and they're talking to their families, or they're talking to, and hopefully we don't make a, what out of ourselves over there. But
I
that's
honestly
where,
think
if this thing
that
has
it
any
would be
teeth,
the
it only can
worst
happen.
idea to send American troops as part of the
I'm not saying we
ISF.
should. I'm not saying we should.
Yeah,
But that's the only way this has teeth
dude.
to actually be carried out.
Send NATO.
No, Cal, I agree
No,
with you. I'm not saying
yeah.
we should have Americans there. I'm telling you, if you want this thing to have teeth, we either have to put an American command force, and when I say command, I just mean like a staff, not foot soldiers at a minimum. But if you really wanted this to have teeth, you would have to ensure peace has been established, and then have some kind of red tape in the sand that tells Israel you can't do it anymore. And then again, the reason I'm going to this level is because now there's financial interest in Gaza. Financial interest, meaning the development
but there's nobody left to kill at that point either.
I know. I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just saying, as I read this thing, all of this stuff seems like great words and fluff. None of it seems like any of it will actually get done unless an actual ISF force was stood up that stood on the other side of their border. If they're in Israel, it doesn't do anything. But if they're on the other side, actually rendering aid and bringing in construction equipment and companies to, I'll tell you, someone asked me at the very beginning of this, right after the events happened in October or whatever, a few years ago, Lane, how would you approach this? You know what I said, Kawa? I would hire a bunch of oil field companies to bring up their tankers to the shore, and I would put hoses in the tunnels. That's it. I wouldn't bomb. I wouldn't shoot. I would just flood the tunnels.
I mean,
that's all I would have done.
Yeah, but I mean, well,
there's always a case to be made. You shouldn't do anything. I'm not saying that something had to be done, but I'm saying if you really wanted to say we're going after Hamas, we're just going after Hamas. We don't want anybody else. There's no citizens.
Let me just. If they were really going after Hamas, then this would take us back to like my own experience of how we took Fallujah. Okay,
brother. I hope you know that I'm not saying I believe that.
No, I'm not. No, you're not. But it jogged my memory. It jogged my memory when you said if we're going after Hamas, this is how we do it. It just jogged my memory to this is urban warfare. I've been in this place. In Fallujah in 2004, when we did Operation Phantom Fury and we were going after Zarqawi's guys, let's just say Zarqawi was Hamas. Yep. They were embedded all over Fallujah. We were told 600 fighters. It ended up they had a little over 2,000 fighters in the city. Mm-hmm. Okay, 800 Marines, 2,000 insurgents, but we got fire superiority. We did not bomb the fuck out of Fallujah for 2 years to get Zarqawi and his guys. Okay, we put together an assault force that first started with an air campaign, just like we always do. Drop some bombs, maybe some designated targets, specific targets, not indiscriminately. Okay, but then we prep the battlefield a little bit so that when your little legs come in and your troops come in and we're doing all the little door kicking and CQB stuff, all we had to do was finish them off because they were all kind of dazed and stunned and we had our little firefights in the street and stuff. But we sure as fuck didn't bomb Fallujah for a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year prior to us entering to get Zarqawi. You know what we did actually before we entered Fallujah, right? We had loudspeakers around the entire city with Army PSYOPs saying you have 72 hours to put your weapons down and leave the city. Here are the exit points. You can grab your personal shit and that's it. No vehicles, but you can grab your personal stuff and get out. And through the bridge, Blackwater Bridge was one exit. Through the other southern point was another exit. And it was like mass exodus. People were leaving. Now, did some of Zarqawi's fighters get away? Yeah. Did Zarqawi get away himself? Yes. But most of his fighters, if we were there to fight his fighters, most of his fighters remained. All the civilians were out. It took us 3 weeks to get from the north side of the city down to the south side of the city. We had either killed or captured over 2,100 fighters. And that was it. Then we did a re-clear. But we didn't bomb a place, killing 70,000 people, creating 20,000 orphans, creating another 20,000 kids without limbs, decimating a population, decimating an urban, like hospitals, colleges, their entire infrastructure to deal with Zarqawi. And so that's why everybody knows what Israel is doing is bullshit. Regardless of we got to defend ourselves and they're attacking us, bullshit. And you have lost the public opinion there. That's why I said just stop with the theatrics. Just go in there and fucking kill them all now and start your reconstruction project. And make some dope ass beachfront property that, Trump and his kid or his son-in-law and everybody else will get rich off of. And then the world will continue. And not Jordan or anybody else will do anything about it. Because if they really give a shit, they would have done something about it in the 60s when it first started. But now it's just a charade.
So you don't like my tactics of getting oil tankers to just pump water in the tunnels? I thought that was pretty good.
Are we pumping water or are we pumping gas?
Yeah, water. No,
okay.
Water. Bro, I'm not trying to take Gaza down. I'm just, but my point is because the tunnels were the problem, right?
Well, I mean, apparently.
tunnels.
Apparently there's, bro, here's the thing. If the tunnels were the problem, then you didn't have to destroy every building in the city.
No, that's my point though, Cal. I'm going back to the beginning. The tunnels, the narrative, the headline, the tunnels were the problem. So the tunnels are the issue, and the tunnels and the headquarters are, again, I'm literally saying
I wish we could see these tunnels.
Because that my point is, then you flood the tunnels. You don't need to destroy all the infrastructure and destroy the city.
Yeah.
You're going to drown a bunch of terrorists in these tunnels.
Or, hey, send your highly qualified IDF soldiers in the tunnels to go get them.
I ain't going to no tunnel.
Go in there. We did that shit in Afghanistan. You had your boy fucking Kawa on a goddamn rappel, dropping into a Carez, knowing damn well I could have got shot in the ass. I could have got shot in the back, anywhere.
You didn't like it. You didn't like it, though.
And I got a fucking canine dog hanging off me.
Hey,
it wasn't even my dog because the canine dude couldn't go. I'm just saying, bro. We did some cave. We did some subterranean fucking warfare in Afghanistan.
Let me tell our people. We didn't have a lot of chatters tonight, and that's okay. But if someone comes to this podcast afterwards, they get to this point, they've listened to this dumbass conversation this long, go to watch the movie The Covenant. Kawa dies in like 5 minutes, bro. Don't listen to him. He dies fast.
That's right. But at least in the movie, I get to choose how I die.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to die in a Carez in Afghanistan somewhere in a cave, okay? I didn't want to die there.
I watched the movie. I was like, my boy Kawa died already? Dang.
Hey, man, we did that shit in Vietnam. We had what do they call them? The tunnel rats? The rat line?
The lerps.
Lerps. We had those dudes in the tunnels of Vietnam.
Some hard as woodpecker lips is what we call them, those dudes.
And I don't know what the casualties look like in those tunnels, but we got the job done. We got the job done.
Lord.
Well, all right. We had to talk about it because, I mean, there's really no resolve when it comes to Palestine, Gaza.
I'll tell you, American... I mean, you still have your pockets, but I feel like overall American discourse is, you're going to say too late, but it's shifted on this topic. It's not even close. People are going, it's enough. It's, I mean, for months now, it's not just today. And I think that's where you're seeing a lot of the pressure is it's starting to have political implications here where people are like, enough. The normal person doesn't know better is saying enough.
It is interesting, you're right, because there's, like you said, there's public discourse that, I mean, everyone, we call it the noticing, everyone's waking up, whatever you want to call it. People are realizing what's going on in Palestine, and TikTok we have to give a lot of credit to TikTok for doing that, and hence why now, Oracle and Palantir own TikTok, basically. But there's also discourse amongst governments. Governments that were pro-Israel that wouldn't bat an eye to, a couple 800 people, 1,000 people dying 1 year in Gaza. A lot of governments are like, dude, that's enough. Everyone has started turning their backs on Israel, or at least standing up and saying, that's enough. That's enough. Yeah. But really, you have to ask the question, well, do any of them really mean anything? None of them have enough weight to actually stop Israel. America is the only country that can stop Israel, not even the UK. America can stop Israel, but we choose not to. Okay. And we'll save that for another episode. But
well, bro, I think we covered the gamut.
I'm just happy that at some point the audio was fixed because it's
I
annoying.
know.
It's annoying.
Well, the good thing is this is give it 72 hours and there'll be a whole nother subset of things to talk about.
Is this what we're doing now? Is this what are we gonna do lives?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got to think we're doing two birds with one stone. If someone pops in here and talks to us, great. If no one does, we still have a episode that just recorded for us on YouTube. We don't have to upload. We don't have to edit.
Yeah, that's
All,
a
you
good.
know,
I
other
mean,
stuff.
but then the question is, does YouTube push lives to anybody? Look, if you guys are listening to this, stop right now, subscribe to the channel, turn on your
Yeah.
notifications, so that when we do go live, you can get at least a notification. I didn't post this one, that's why I don't think anybody's here. I'm not sure who's all here, to be honest, but I didn't promote it. So if we're gonna do lives from now on, then I just want to get on a schedule where I promote it 3
Yeah.
4 days out, and or we have a set day. We just say, hey, look, set day, 6 p.m. Central, whatever time, or 8 p.m. and then we'll knock it out. I'm down with this. Again, it's just pros and cons.
Yeah. It really comes down to you were busy at the beginning of this year. We kicked this thing off and we're in a rhythm. And then I decided to go have a son. And
Yeah,
my wife
exactly.
also went back to work. So she's working. Um, the person who helped raise my first child at Ainsley is here helping out transition my son. So, oh, and my wife asked, when are you coming back up here? Because hot take from my wife here, message sent to Kawa, when there's no incentives, he don't come visit us. I'll leave it. I'm keeping the words generic for a reason. So
That's funny.
I'm keeping them vague, I guess.
Actually, I wouldn't mind coming to Nashville now in the fall anyway, because it's my favorite time of year in Nashville is the fall.
The temperature is not so brutal.
It's nice. I may wait. November is when I was thinking in my head, Lane. Early November though, like first half of November.
That'd
I'd
be a
like to
good
get
time.
up there.
You could help us move.
Yeah,
I got
I'm
a
down.
moving company. You're good.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I refuse. My wife's like, well, that's kind of heavy. I was like, babe, I ain't moving none
Yeah,
of this
because
shit.
y'all are moving in a couple weeks and everything, and I wanted to not come visit you in the middle of a move, but I was thinking the first half of November, you're not
Yeah,
gonna
we'll
be
be
settled,
settled.
but at
We'll
least
be
you'll be
settled. No, we'll be settled
in the new house.
because the moving company's doing all the moving. But where we're living now, it's gonna be 30 minutes south of here. But dude, there's a winery out there. There's just so much more stuff to do down there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go knock on Sean Ryan's studio. Like, hey, open up.
Sean, impromptu podcast. Let's go.
Let's go, brother.
We're live right now, bro.
I told you knew who he was.
Yeah.
Saw you in West Haven.
Yeah, I think I haven't talked to Sean in a long time. I definitely haven't talked to Sean since the October 7th and all this stuff has happened. So it'd be nice to like kind of get in touch with him again and see. I don't necessarily need to be a guest on his podcast, but he does live right there. A couple other people
You
live
should
there
reach
too.
out. I won't say his name, but you should reach out to your other buddy who's restarting.
Tim Kennedy? He's not my buddy.
No, dude, no. Your buddy
I'm
who's
just
restarting
joking.
his company
Who?
that lives near me. The guy who's restarting his company.
We're
Y'all
starting
used
this
to be
company.
good, then y'all kind of lost touch. I won't say his name here. I'll text you about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm so over my head. I was thinking about people that I hate.
It's your shooting community.
Shooting community. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
I already talked
but-
to him, actually. I already talked to
Oh,
him.
okay.
I said, don't fucking step out of your lane. That's what I said. I said, you're on a narrow lane, bro. Narrow lane. You step out of your lane, I'm gonna fucking call your ass out.
Oh man.
So
Cal is nice in person, I promise you guys. It's this online personality where he's a dick, but he's one of the nicest people you ever meet in person.
I'm only angry at the government. I'm not angry at you guys.
I
okay?
know, that's what I'm saying. It's just the
I love you
online
guys.
presence
That's why
is
I'm
not
so
a good-
angry.
It's not a good depiction of you as a person.
Yeah. The reason I'm so angry is because I love you guys, and I'm like, bro, we need to wake up, man. All right, but yeah. All right, man.
Just gotta
Well,
get- you gotta
I'm
stay-
glad we
I
got
gotta
to.
get-
I'm glad we got to knock this out.
America just needs to see you around your two little daughters. They'll see a whole nother side of you.
Oh
big
yeah,
teddy bear. Big teddy bear daddy.
yeah.
By the way, I saw him pulling triggers the other day. I was like, oh Lord, here we go.
Yeah, they each shot like 200 rounds on the pistol, on the different Glocks and everything
That's
that I had.
cool.
I made him shoot like 2 mags on the rifle, because they hadn't shot a rifle in a while. But then they
Were
liked it.
shocked at
Then
how
they
the
were like,
rifle
"Oh,
was
we want to."
installed?
Yeah. Then they were like, "We want to shoot some more."
Hell yeah, dude.
But
That's cool.
I just love how they like to shoot, and they're not bad though. They're not bad. They're getting there. They like to do all the things I wanted my sons to do. That's the thing. I wanted my boys to be, do all that stuff with me, but it ended up being my girls. So, and I'll take it because they're badasses.
Yeah, every time I see pictures of them, like, dude, that's Cowell 1 and Cowell 2. Bad and bad.
We have conversations.
Yeah. Keep them in line.
Yeah, we have conversations. All right, brother.
All
Well,
right,
I hope you have a good night. Good podcast. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Obviously, everybody that's in this chat or everybody that will see this podcast. I think we have good audio on this one, Lane. Maybe we can try to cut some shorts from this. Hopefully, you can chop this up somehow. If not, I can assist.
We'll
Leave your comments down in the section. Obviously, we kind of, we didn't dive deep into anything, but we did, give everything we talked about some good substance. Obviously, textbook versus, reading between the lines is what I'll call it, because that's really what it is what we think is happening versus what we're telling us, and doing our best to kind of, decipher what it means to us as Americans. And we appreciate you guys for joining us on this conversation. And we'll get if we're going to do live streams, we'll get a schedule going, because I don't mind it. I think as long as our audio and video is good, and I like this little template that we have on Discord, then I'm good with it. And we'll get better and better with it as well. So, but appreciate you guys for tuning in. Lane, any closing thoughts?
Good night. Love on your people. Take care of your people. God bless.
Yes, sir. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Bye.